will see how to add JavaScript to the HTML.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, how was the stack? Does it make sense? It's a bit more technical stuff, so we're gonna go back. Do you remember HTML? Do you miss it?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
I like CSS.
Yeah.
You like CSS? CSS is the best. And so today we're gonna go back a little bit to HTML. Do you remember the DOM? Can someone tell me what the DOM is? With your hand? What is the DOM? Yep.
That's document object model.
What is the data type of the DOM? Now that you know data types? It's an object, right? Yeah. And so, what do you think DOM manipulation means? Raise your hands. Yeah?
Something like stack that you see. Structure of stack.
Another idea? Yeah?
Having communication with the object of the HTML and flow as
Right, that's more close. Yeah?
For example, how to create element with JavaScript.
With JavaScript. Exactly. So DOM manipulation, we have the DOM tree, and we want to take that and change it to something else using JavaScript. Because you know the DOM doesn't refresh by itself, right? You need to click refresh to get something else out of it because it's a static file. You request for an HTML file, the server gives an HTML file to you, and that's not dynamic. That is just a bunch of divs, and if you want to change something inside that HTML, you need to, with JavaScript, take it, change it, and give it back. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show a little example on, this is this one. So this is HTML, right? Just a div, an image, and a search, and this image is the Google logo. And now, do you remember this line? What was that line adding? It links the CSS to this file, right?
How do you think this HTML will look like in real?
Just an link to one.
Image as such. Text.
Yeah. How do you think how will the image look like? What is the image?
Comes from CSS.
What image is going to be? Did someone read what was in the image?
She just said.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah. So it looks like that.
Yeah.
It's a fake Google page, right? I built it, yeah.
It's phishing, yeah? We're trying to...
And now we're going to talk about doing the same thing that we do with CSS, but with JavaScript. Yeah?
Can you take that link again?
This link? Oh, this link.
Yeah, what does it do?
So, can someone explain what it does? You, Sheila.
We should, whenever we are coding, we should have, as you know, the external page. For example, a special page for CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, and so on. And this line, it includes the CSS file into HTML file. It means that it's separated. The CSS file is separated, but it's run in HTML page.
So you don't need to. We don't need to bring the style in this one.
Yeah.
We write it separately. From
Yeah, exactly. So this is the only styling that I have.
Okay.
And I'm taking this file with this
The
line.
file name is index.css.
Yeah.
Hmm?
And you could also have like folder / index.css.
Yeah, if it was somewhere else. Yeah.
But it's in the same folder, so index.css.
Okay, and so to add the script file that I want to create, so I'm going to, in this folder, I'm in this example 2 folder, and I'm going to create a new file that is called index.js. So how do you think you add that into this HTML file?
Link.
Again, a link, yeah.
Don't write script
You must have a relation with the file. image inside of it.
So we need to have a way to do sort of the same thing with the CSS, but for the script file. And that is the script tag. And so you add source, and then what do I write here if I want to take that file that I created?
Out of the files.
Is this correct?
If this file is located inside of the folder of this file.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, this is fine.
and you can see it is.
So I'm gonna
And we always put it after body. Yes.
we're gonna look at that a little bit later, but yes, the rule is that you always add it here, and you will later today know why. So we're gonna create a function here that is called change logo, not logo, logo. And in this function, do you remember this document? We said is an object, right? And this object has some functions. And I'm going to use this get element by ID. Have you seen this before?
Yeah.
No. So, okay. So what this function does, it takes in a parameter that is the ID of the element that you're going to look for. And so I'm going to go back to my HTML file, and I'm actually going to add the ID of logo to this image. And so I want to find get element by ID because I have an ID on that image. And that's going to be logo. And for now, I'm just going to store this in a variable and print it. And then what will happen if I save this and go back to this file?
Nothing.
Nothing, because I didn't call it. I am super proud. Yes.
And what happens when we call it?
Nothing.
No, then it's so long.
Console logs
Very
logo instead of
It goes into the stack.
Oh yes, open that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we have this console log, right? And it returns an image tag, the image tag with the ID logo. And so what I want to do there is I want to change it. So I'm done with this console log. I know that I get the element that I want. So I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to say logo dot, actually, what is the, yeah. So logo dot, let's see if this works, because I'm not completely sure. And let's get the Yahoo logo. I want the image
Yeah, there's copy.
image address. Well, it worked. So now, what did I do with this? What is this? We've seen this type of thing before, right? With objects. So what we're doing is we're updating the
Source property of logo to this value.
to that value, right? And how does the HTML look like for this file? How do you think it will look like?
It's the same.
Part is changed.
So you say part is changed. What do the rest say? Will it be the same or will it change?
It should be same.
It's the same. This would still have the Google logo. Because, and what we're doing when we run the function is we take that and we update it. But we update it only in this image of the DOM. This will always be the same. We change it with JavaScript for here. So if I send to someone just this file, this won't work, right? Because you need the script to run so that that image is changed, right? And so now we're gonna do, this is a simple thing, right? We can change the sources of images, but what else do you think you can do when you have JavaScript running in the browser and you can combine it with HTML? So you can build elements.
Change in properties for example, you can shrink it like to the size you want.
So we can have, actually, let's
Height.
new title, and we have a create element function on the document where you give it the tag of the element that you want. Yeah, the document is your DOM. So you saw the document tree in the HTML course, right? The DOM and how does it look like?
Yeah, it was in notes, so we were supposed to read on how
Okay, wait, this is my computer, it's a little stuck. But so if you write document in the browser, this is your HTML. This is the document tree that it builds when you give it an HTML file to the browser. And so you have access to all of this through the document. So if I want to get the body tag for this page, I can say get elements by tag name. And what is the tag name that I want if I want to get the
body.
I want the body, right? Because what is the tag? What are the tag names that you know? Like, throw tag names at me.
HTML body.
HTML body, image,
Paragraph.
P, img, right? So by tag name, and I want body, I will get the body element. If I want to get, this will give me the images that are inside here, right? And so, yeah, sorry. So if you write document, you can see that we also have get elements by class name. What do you think this takes in as a param?
The name of
Or
the class.
everything with the
dot.
class.
The name of the
That
class
belongs to that
that I
class.
want, right? Do I have any classes in this? I do. I have a class logo. So this will also give me this, right? And so,
One more thing, if you go into like, if you create a JS file and you run it in the console, like we did all the time, like I did all the time, you won't have this document element.
Because this is for HTML.
Because it's specific for the browser, right?
yeah.
So right now we are connecting JS with the browser. Yeah? So this document object is very, very handy. It's very important because that's what we're going to do all the time. So if we have a Facebook message going on in your browser, someone from Facebook has programmed a function to take, the document dot get element by ID, get your chat, and add the new chat message that comes from the internet to add it in your browser. That wouldn't work if you wouldn't have this document. Yeah? So it's there for like connecting JS with the browser. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's look at. Imagine you want, you have a web page, yeah, like she showed, with the Google logo. And then when you click a button, yeah, the Google logo should change to Yahoo logo with JavaScript. Yeah. If the document object, if you wouldn't have that, how would you do it? You don't know. Me neither. Yeah? That's why the people who build browsers, build JavaScript, build all this, they included this document class for us programmers. So it's there. So you're asking the question, why is the document class there? Why is this document object there? It's just there for us as a tool. Just like variables and equal signs and operators, the document is just, you understand now, that it's there for us to use it as an object. Yeah? So I understand this question of like, where does it suddenly come from? Yeah. It's there because we're in the browser and we want to program with the browser. That's why the people who built the browser and are responsible for like Google Chrome and Firefox, they said, we need this document object. Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Is the document something like to connect JavaScript and HTML, or is it just for us to access the stuff?
But like
Like-
what you just said is the same.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if we are just doing it now in a browser, but I'm not searching it, so is document used there to connect both files, even though I'm not calling it or something?
It's always there.
It's always
Okay.
there. It's just present for us to use it and interact with it. Pardon?
Mhm.
Yeah.
When we practically type something inside, it doesn't say the data,
No.
it's just showing buckets.
Yeah.
So it has the data that it received, which is the HTML file, the original HTML file, and then it's done loading that. It loads in JavaScript, and it changes sort of your view of the browser, but not the file. So you have the HTML file and the DOM that is on your browser, and that is the one that is changed, not this file, but the DOM tree.
And this,
Hmm?
this term is used for the users. If we really want to change the web with something, and we have to change into a JavaScript or an HTML.
So it depends, right? Because you can change everything, or you can change a lot of stuff. You can literally change everything with JavaScript on a file. So you can load like the Google website, but if you have a script that takes everything out and puts in something else, that's what the user will see.
It's something like function calling.
Yeah.
It's a way to interact. Now you learn to program and to do notes, your activities, the notes you did at homework, you added notes and stuff like that, you added activities and stuff like that. Yeah. But everything was in the command line. And if you console log your notes, you've got like an array of objects and it's very ugly, right? Yeah. Now we're going to the browser. Now everything you do with your notes and activities, you will be able to put into the browser. Yeah. But without the document class, we can't access the browser. So that's why it's there. So this is a very basic example. So don't interpret too much into it. We're just showing you, hey, we can get this element, it's called logo, we put it in a constant, and then afterwards we can change an attribute of that element. That's it. That's it.
Yes.
We don't have to talk about whether we now always going to change our HTML like that. It's just an example how we change something. Yeah?
Because logo is constant, so we are doing logo, so it's changing a value. Can we do that? Like, because there wasn't an error, so it was happening. But why is that? Because logo is a constant.
Yeah, but the attribute is not.
Okay. So if the logo is the object is constant and attributes is not, then we can modify. Okay. So what's the thing of then putting the object as a constant?
I think you make a good point.
Because when we are changing it anyways, then why
Yeah.
do we put it?
I actually think you're right, and theoretically this should be a let because we are changing something inside that variable.
Yeah, because
so-
when I see the logo, then it seems to me like I'm not going to change it.
Yeah,
now, so.
I think you're right. Yeah. And so if you look at line 5, I'm calling another function of this document element that is called create element, and I told you send in the tag that you want to create. And then we have this other property of every element in the document that is called inner HTML. And that inner HTML is just the text that is inside between the two tags that you get. So if you have p tag, Alicia, close p tag, what is the inner HTML of that? The text Alicia. And so when we change this, when we say inner HTML, so let's follow Sana's example here, and we change this to my new title. Now, to this point, we have an element that is like this, my new title, right? This is what it has been built up to now. And if we have that, so if I don't do this,
It's a logic.
it doesn't matter. I just created it, but it's not in my document, so I don't see it. So we have this other function that is called, you append to the body tag that you can also get through a property of document.body, but you could also do, there are many ways to do a lot of things in programming. So you could also do like body and then get the body document.get element by ID if you had it, get elements by tag name, and then get the body and get the first one, but this is more convenient. So we're going to do document.body. Then we have this function that is called append child. What does that do?
Adding with other elements. So it's not taking the other elements away, it's just adding it.
Adding to the body, right?
One more question.
Yeah.
Where will it get CSS from on that typical?
So it will get the same CSS.
Will get the
Because
same
it's
CSS.
because it's the child of body, so it will
It will
just
get the
look
same
at its
CSS.
siblings.
So let's actually try that. Let's say that I created this H1 element and I want this to be green. It does get it, right? Because I updated the DOM and the CSS file is the same. So I create a new H1 file and the CSS just says like, this is for every H1 that is in the page. So if you keep adding a bunch of H1s, they will all get the same size, right? So I have this list and I have a script tag here, and I'm going to add this to be this index.js, and let's ignore this for now. But what I want to do is I want to print a bunch of names to that HTML file. So right now it just looks like this. I have a list with placeholder images. And how can I get all of those images? I want all of them.
Just with simply any tag, or maybe one class. If
We
have
could
one,
add a class to that, but let's say we don't want to change this HTML file.
we can just take the image tag.
We can get all of the images, yep. And actually thinking more about this, I don't want this to have images anymore. And I just want to get this. So what I want is like the li files with names that I want to get from somewhere else. So I want to get all of the li elements inside this list that has the ID image list. So how do I get that? List elements. Actually, let's get the list. How do I get the list first?
Document,
And this is a list image, I think. And then how do I get the li elements inside this list image? Let's I added this that is called debugger. And this, what it will do is that when it gets to this, the browser will stop executing and it will allow me to look at what is in there. So I'm going to call this function. And I stopped where I wrote the debugger, right? We're going to get into this a bit more later, but this is just so we see what's happening. So I actually get list image null. Do you see like if I get document.getElement by ID list image, it says it doesn't exist. So maybe my image tag, my ID is not that. It's image list. So let's change that. Do you know if anyone has a Mac computer here? Because I forgot my charger.
Someone has Mac computer? I get Christopher's.
So we have this now. So if I go into the console here and I say list, we have the list that I want. And I want to get all of the li elements inside there, right? So how can I get that?
Child something basically because the child of the word.
So we could do something. So we're going to introduce this other thing that is called query selector all. That is sort of like the get element by ID, but it's more broad. So it searches for a query. So if I say list query selector all and I give it an li, it's looking for all of the li elements that are inside this list. And we get a node list. So it is the same thing as if I do document.get elements by tag name, except that one is a node list and the other one is an HTML collection. But they look the same thing. This is just an abstraction. Don't worry too much about it. So we can get this. Do you think this is that we can loop through that? We should be able to, right? It looks like an array. So we could do something like that.
I have a question.
Yep.
Because when you say like the other above,
Oh, sorry.
when you said like documents dot elements by tag name li, so isn't it now going to
Thank
check
you.
all the li's through the bar?
Yeah, that is the difference. Yeah.
These are all
So when we
objects within
do-
the array.
When we do list.querySelector all, it will look at all of the li elements that are part
Inside this.
of this element, which is the list. And when we say document dot
I've done it.
get elements by tag name li, that will look through all of the document. It's not scoped to the list that we got before. This is everything, right? So we can start. Which one do you like better out of these two methods? That to use the list one. It's nicer being scoped to something that you have already, right? So you have more control over that. So we're going to use this. And I'm going to keep this in a variable as well. So these are my list elements.
Do you see how nice the names are for the variables? I just by reading it, I know exactly what's going on.
And so now we're going to loop through this list of elements. And how do we do that? You tell me. We want to loop through the list elements that we have. So what do we need to do that?
List names
We need a for.
For I would go to list elements for them.
And let's see.
List elements more.
For now, let's print it and just see slowly what's happening, right? So for each element, we have this. And what I want to do is I want to remove that image source and just print a name there. So the current element that I am in, I'm going to say inner HTML. And for now, I'll just say name.
Everyone understands the code?
Now you
The waste.
Everyone understands this code?
So
What-
before,
so far the code is
let's print out what the inner HTML is before we change it. So this is for, is when you get this, that is, it's printed 4 times. It's the same thing 4 times. So what is the inner HTML of the element that I'm in? The inner HTML is the image tag. And so when I do inner HTML equals something else, it will completely remove it. It won't append to it. It's saying your inner HTML was this. Forget that. Now it's this. Right? And so we can print it before and later. So I'll just copy this line. So on each loop, inner HTML was the image, and now it's name. And same for the second, for the third, and for the fourth one.
Can you make a split screen here of this and the exercise HTML?
Yep.
So,
Wait, yeah, there's one.
so our browser is arriving at this page. Yeah, he loads this page. Yeah, and then he starts. He goes through it. Yeah? And he reads all this. He displays this. And in the bottom, we have this script tag which loads this one. And then the browser says, boom. And you know what this means, yeah? There's just a lot of inner HTML that you've only seen today. But you know there's a function and a for loop, right? And the function is called. So then the browser, which has a JavaScript interpreter, so he can read JavaScript and run this code, goes into this function, and then we encounter this document get element by. And this document element is just there because we are in the browser now, yeah? And in the browser world, we need a way to access the document, the actual page, yeah? So we call document get element by, and we get this image list. What is this image list over here? It's this ID. So we get every element of that. So we get this element, yeah, right? And this element, and this element, and this element. That's 4 elements, yeah? So list element length is 4, yeah? Because here we are selecting all of them and getting them back in an array. Then we get into this for loop, and we console log in the first list element, it's inner HTML. So this is here our first list element, yeah? And what's inside there is this one. This image, all this. So we console log that. Yes? The next step is we take this one, inner HTML, so we basically tell the computer this here, like this here in the middle, remove it and put in name. So now there's name in here. And then we console log the inner HTML of this again. What is it now?
Name.
Name, right?
Yeah.
Not, yes?
Yeah.
Then we do the same for the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And if we now go to the browser, our output up here, because that's what we did, we replaced every one of these images with name, but at the same time, we also console logged a lot of stuff. And we must have image, name, image, name, image, name, right?
So it works exactly like we are changing a value of a variable.
Exactly,
Yes, exactly.
exactly. Yeah. So our document is just an object with a body attribute and. So that's why we taught you objects. Yeah. And each of our list elements is an object with attributes and functions and so on. Yeah.
And let's say we have this const, which are the names, and we get this data from the browser. We get this data from somewhere, and it has 4 names. My sister, my brother. And now we're going to say that the inner HTML is the names in the same index. So now this is linked to data, right? And this is the main reason that you want to combine JavaScript with HTML because you'll need to fetch data from a server. Sometimes you need to get data from somewhere else that you will not have when you need to build this page. So you load an HTML, you load a script, you go get some data, you need to add this data to the HTML. And this is how you connect it, and this is how you build something like this.
So when you get a new Facebook friend tomorrow, he will be added here, but the source code won't change. Only the names array will get another name.
Can you get the forward?
Yep.
Yep. You didn't write a semicolon at the end of the list element.
Yeah.
21.
Is it? Should it? Okay.
It should be there. Yeah.
Because you didn't do it both times before you write the arrays of names.
Yeah, it's because I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought.
JavaScript is very forgiving there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think, yeah, I have a big exercise for this where you will need to do something similar and work with objects as well. So I will send you this, but you won't be able to do it in 10 minutes. I won't be able to do it in 10 minutes. So after lunch, maybe come in, like, let's do it now and come in 10 minutes before, and then we can go through that exercise afterwards. Is there any questions before we move on about this?
Can you go to the browser?
Yes.
What were you doing with that part, the button part? You were writing the list.
Here.
Yes.
So here I can do, here is like,
Were you
remember
changing the
that,
codes there as well?
yes, so if I say dot get elements by tag name and I get one and I say get the first one and then I say inner HTML not to be Alicia but to be my second name, that does change. But if I refresh this, will this still be Catalina?
No.
No.
It's the same as we did in HTML when we were doing it. Check.
Yeah. So this is just my session. But if I refresh it, it won't.
does
It won't be
answer your
safe.
question?
Yes, because I was confused with this one, what we're doing here, and then on the
Right, no.
this file.
Yeah, this is just for debugging purposes, right?
Okay.
So you just want to see what's going on. You want to see that the line that you have here actually makes sense, and if it returns
Then you bring
something
it
there,
back.
then you bring it here.
Okay.
Yeah. More questions?
I
Yeah.
might have a complicated one, but why JavaScript always have to? We always have to write console log, not like the HTML. We just write the code and it's always console log on its own. Just complicated. Why do we do that?
Why what?
But you
Why
mean
do we
like
have to write console log every time?
That's the command to output
Yeah.
something to the console.
Yeah, I understand that, but why do we have to do it? In HTML, it always do it on its own. We don't have to write console log. It's H1. It's console log it on its own.
They're for two different purposes. The console log is for you. Console log is here in the console. Yeah. Does the user ever have this? If you go on Facebook or any other page, do you ever open the console?
No,
No.
but the thing is, if we don't write console log, will it show up in the browser?
No.
so you can see that
That's my point.
you can see that the file that is loaded here. So if you go to the sources tab, and I guess this is sort of like the HTML of the JavaScript. So everything that you write there, here is the console log. Here is everything, but this is on execution time. That you don't have that concept in HTML because it's not a programming language. It's just text, and it just whatever you give it, it will be printed. But when you have a programming language, you have to transpile it, and you have to run it. You don't run HTML,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You just read HTML.
Yeah.
But when you need to run a language, then you need something to print so that you need a function that actually prints stuff, because otherwise it will just run.
like the example could be like when on the Facebook there's an HTML when you see, but you added a friend and it's like comes a message you got a new friend. But if you write it in HTML, it will always be there, and there's not like it will, because if you run it in console log in JavaScript and with something conditions, and then it will only come when you have a friend. If that makes sense.
I don't 100% understand your point.
I think it's because they're not. So HTML is not a programming language, and that's the difference. Because it's a markup language, there is not a concept of logging. It's just and in every other programming language there should be.
Okay, I understand that, but why do we use it? Why
HTML?
why do we have to write a console log? Why?
Console log, I think it's to see what's the output.
I understand
On your
what's the
current-
use of the console log, but why do we use it at all? Why don't we just write it without the console log?
So you mean like the one what you want to console log, you put in an HTML tag instead.
Because we don't need the console log, right? If I remove all of the console logs, this works the same way. The console log is for me.
Okay.
It's for debugging purposes, so I can see here what is going on. Otherwise, it's not needed. The page will run and it will behave in the same way.
That's it.
It's for the programmer to see the
No, I
output
didn't get
before
that point.
going
Like
to
console
the-
log is just for us.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that will come in browser though.
No, the console log is for us to
For us,
see it
okay.
and for your
Yeah.
colleagues.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if you have a lot of console logs there, which makes sense, the
Yeah.
colleague will understand your. But,
But like theoretically, you should never have a console log when you're writing code for in your
For
work
one page.
in
Yeah.
production.
For
Never.
one page.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
From time to
but there's also other like programs which go through your code and throw all of the console logs away. So you will have a lot of console logs for yourself in your code. But the moment you send it to a customer and they will use your code, it's going to go through a filter which
Yeah.
like throws all the console log out.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I was checking the pages to like I want to view the code, and then I never see a console log, and it was like making me crazy. Where is it coming from then?
Yeah. You never have it. I would never commit a console log to my work. You always need. You use it. You say, okay, everything is working fine. Remove it, and now it's ready.
All good now.
Yeah.
Yes, question?
If I load HTML file
Yeah.
inside of the browser with some JavaScript code in the script section, can it debug the code inside of the browser?
I don't understand the last.
Can I debug my code inside of the browser?
Yes, we'll
Yeah.
show you that
Yeah.
after.
That's the
but-
next section. Yeah, we'll do
Okay.
that. But before you go to lunch, I wanted to change something here. So I'm gonna move this script tag to be where in the head.
Yeah. I will also won't work.
It won't work. And why do you think that is?
Because it still runs what comes first.
So it's part of the stack, right? It's somehow part of the stack. So it loads this file. It wants to execute it because it's there. I go here and I get into this,
Doesn't have anything there on the
and
page.
it's not, when that JavaScript is run, that HTML is not there.
But I've been seeing it a lot in head. So why was that?
So maybe it's not, maybe the JavaScript is not working with the DOM.
Okay.
Maybe it's doing something else, like fetching some data or things like that, but it's not working in the DOM.
Storage.
But
First, it has to put in storage. So it's connected first.
This JavaScript is going to work actually on the elements. So elements should be there before it's been
But
executed.
why then we call the CSS in head? Because that's also the same in a way, no?
yeah, I think like, and that's a discussion, like people are controversial about this because they say, when you loading, do you want to show the page without styles and then add the styles so it
Styles.
blinks? And people don't like that, so they want to load the styles first so that when you actually get to see the page, it has styles already.
Okay.
Yeah.
The styles are kind of rules,
Yeah.
whereas the programming are executed.
So we set the rules first and then we
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, I'll see you in like 30 minutes. Yeah.
Take some of your time if you want to.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
But it should have some.
Yeah, ask you to stop the me after the class.
Yeah.
A bit longer,
Yeah.
because I'm a little bit behind. If you can.
Why? I have an interview with the people that are coming here, but I think
You can wait until you
Yeah,
done.
okay.
If you have time after.
yeah, I do. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah, of course.
Okay, we catch the all list here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can we put the string here, the name something else? Can we put the other tags, image or tag A something else? Can we replace this work
So let's
for all of them?
we can try that now. Like
For example,
let's say and now,
this paragraph right now, okay?
so you can add anything in there.
Image or anything.
Yes.
Should we put the double quotes? Or
Yeah, because you're in JavaScript, so
should be double-
JavaScript doesn't understand what a P
Okay.
is. Yeah.
It doesn't make. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
You know this one?
It's going to be more in Java.
Back to HTML. It's always nice.
No, just
Yeah.
This was the homework. I didn't really have the time to do it.
Yeah.
I was submitting all the things. And this one, when I run it, the colors,
Mm-hmm.
it runs all right.
Yeah.
It prints out the colors,
Yes.
but it still gives me that there's an error here, which is not defined. I've run it.
introduction to
Where is it? Where is the error? Please not say. Is that it?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
or just instruction to Dom.
Okay. No, property of undefined. Okay. So let's go into.
but it has still run within
Mm-hmm.
the colors.
Okay. So we go into color objects, and color objects is this array of objects, right? That's correct. And so it prints. Can you go back to the console? So it prints red, yellow, and green. And then the last one, so what I'm thinking is that the I is going over one more. So I think this condition, it should be without the equals. Because the length
From 0
is,
to less, not equal.
because the length will be 3, so you want the index 0, 1, and 2. Yeah? Can you try removing the equals and see if it works?
Hard coding everything inside here, for example, these images.
Yeah.
These images. So, at the same time, I mean,
Yeah.
we are doing
Yeah.
this, applying this.
Yeah, I forget that all the time. Yeah.
For JS, and we're going to do access these elements in the browser. And doesn't make sense at all.
With this one,
Like,
we're
but
calling
the
it
only thing we're
the
changing,
Yeah.
showing you,
So
is how to
it's
change
because every
HTML file from JavaScript.
HTML,
From JavaScript.
like website you
But,
design,
you know,
you
like we
still
will,
use the document.
Yeah.
like in
But
the
what I'm
future
saying is
courses,
that they are all in the
there
same
will be
folder,
a JavaScript function,
right?
and
The
it will send
HTML
to
file,
a server,
the
Yeah.
JS file,
Yeah.
and whatever is in
saying,
the same folder.
send me the
Yeah.
name.
That's why when you are
for
referring
this
to
list.
the document, it's referring to
And then the
Yeah.
server will say like, ah, he wants his
Yeah.
name. He will
But
send us something
that's
back,
how I do
and
it.
then we will have a function
Yeah.
here,
You,
because I was a
communicate
bit
to
confused.
another
What is
server, and then he will put names
like that? The name
Well, we
of the
don't know
file is
what
not
these names
document. So when you are
and also our HTML
Yeah,
code
yeah.
does know what these
But-
names
I
are.
wasn't here for
But how do we
the
get the
first
names into the HTML?
class of HTML6, so
Like this.
Yeah.
it's difficult getting.
yeah.
So the only
I
thing
think
we're
it's,
showing you right now
It's
is how
easier.
to change
You
and
yeah.
edit.
You just need to know the basic HTML stuff. It's not super important now. Yeah.
So that's the only thing we want to show you now.
And then this, this care of, what is it? Care of.
The C/O.
I think it's a mistake. I think it's nothing. I think I copied it wrong. And it's just like this.
Okay. Let's have a break, huh?
Thanks.
Yeah.
One thing when I have to teach at university, we had to do like a teaching course and stuff like that. And whenever we had to like type something, they tell us exactly when they're pedagogues and shit. And then they say, because I saw it in you, I want to Chris, I just want to give you feedback. You type code here and you boom boom forth and back from the browser.
Yeah.
And if people look, it's just like type something, boom, and they haven't even processed the last bits you typed.
Yeah.
What they said to you before you change from like coding to execution, stand up,
Yeah.
go away from your computer, explain the code with your hands, because the moment you're away from the computer, the code on the screen is static.
Yeah.
Because you can't change it anymore.
Yeah.
So that because it's difficult to see the changes, understand them, and then phew, the changes go away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
You maybe have seen it for me.
Yeah.
I code, and then I stand up.
Yeah.
I force myself to stand up and go with my hands on here.
Yeah.
Because I want to do it with my fingers, just that I'm not on the computer anymore.
Yeah.
Because that basically makes everything static on the screen, and everyone can focus on what's there and not what's changing.
Yeah.
And that helped me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
that's a good point. Yeah.
And then I just once interrupted to say like this and this,
Yeah.
and then I just did it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of.
But that's good. Yeah.
But
Thanks a
that's-
lot. Because I go way too fast when I need to code. Yeah.
But before you execute, before you go to the browser, just stand up, have your chair a little bit wide, and it also gives you. It made it very. I don't know how to call it, but it makes it easier because.
Yeah, otherwise also I would just change the code. Like if you're just going through it, you just think like, oh, and you could also do this and you could also do this and yeah.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
I've learned something today. all this. I'm also looking forward to at some point like teaching JavaScript 2 with someone,
Yeah.
JavaScript 3, because I don't know these things.
Yeah.
And I will just learn them while I keep
Yeah, I'm always just like, this is only the second time that I've taught the JavaScript module, and I'm always just scared because I write JavaScript all the time, but I don't think I know enough to teach it.
Yeah, you know much more than to teach.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter.
So check my I'm like tomorrow I'm gonna present my PhD.
Yep.
And I'm gonna say thank you on my last slide. And we are like a big group of physicists. And the little group I'm in is like digital signal processing, like a little bit mathematics. And we're just guys in like an office, and we call ourselves the digital signal processing cowboys, DSP cowboys. Every time we walk to lunch, we're walking like a hallway, and we're like cowboys like this. And in fact, we saw yesterday I created this for my last slide. I don't know if I can use it.
Use it, why not?
Yeah, because it's such an official thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if some old professor will feel offended. I'm torn to do it.
I think you should do
Yeah, my colleague also said.
it. And why is it the cowboys out of everything that you can be?
Yeah, because we always walked along this long hall to go to canteen, and we were like 4 or 5 in a row. And then I always thought like us being like in a wild, wild west.
I'm thinking how, so I want to use this object, like, so that they print it, and I want to have that, like, only add the image if the URL attribute is present.
Yeah.
So for the last one, but
What if we first start by them creating like an HTML with only body, and they should add, their name.
Yeah.
And when they have, this and JavaScript, which adds the name, then we can move to that, because then we will have the feeling whether, how if they can do that.
yeah,
Because if they can't even put their name into an empty HTML file, we screw them completely over with this.
yeah.
But I think
yeah,
Sana
you're right,
would be
you're
able
right.
to do that like this.
Yeah.
But I think that there's some people here who will have troubles with that.
I'm really bad with names, but
Yeah.
this guy, the young guy that
Yes.
was asking about the
hoodie.
console log. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said if we could stay after class with him for a little bit because he's really behind. But I have an interview with this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What
Maybe.
what is it?
Yeah.
The-
This
yeah.
weird company.
Yeah.
The problem is I have to.
Yeah. You also need to go.
Yeah. So like referring to Slack to say that we don't
Yeah.
have time today.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
I think
that's
it's
okay.
fine.
Yeah. That should be fine.
Just tell him like do the homework.
Yeah.
I just.
Has he done the homework? Do you know?
He wasn't here last week because he had a basketball game.
He was not here last week.
So he came like in the first minute, said like, sorry, I can't come today. I have a basketball game, and I was like,
He was at the Standard Study Group. I saw him.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm just like then these priorities are a little bit shifted,
Yeah.
and then if you can miss a whole class because of a basketball game, then I can also go home at 4 because I really have to. And
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, although I would really like to help him, but he has a lot of time over Christmas to write me on Slack.
Are you going in? No, you're spending Christmas here, right?
No, my parents live in Germany, so.
Ah, right. Which language do you feel most comfortable in? German.
Like
Danish?
2 or 3 years ago, my brain's changed to think in English.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you dream in English?
I think so now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, when I go somewhere and someone says count these things, then I count in my head in English. It really changed. Subconsciously I'm English now. And before that it was German.
Yeah.
Because of my life.
Never Danish.
Never Danish. My mom just spoke to me Danish when I was 1 to 3.
But you do speak Danish.
Yeah, I understand everything they say, but like I have this passive vocabulary, but
Okay.
my active one is not there.
Right.
So I can like tree and stuff like that I can use, but in
Yeah.
technical discussion I couldn't.
Interesting.
And then Yeah, but what's funny is what people don't realize is that my family, although mom Danish and father British,
Yeah.
when we sit around the Christmas table and me, my brother, and my
Yeah.
parents would speak German. You know what I mean? That nobody was.
But you moved to Germany, right, with your parents?
My parents were there before I was born.
Ah, so they speak German,
Yes,
obviously.
they lived before in.
Where in Germany were you living?
Heidelberg.
I mean, close to...
South of Frankfurt.
Okay,
So in
okay,
the southwest.
okay.
So they moved to Germany before I was born, and they moved from Zurich, so from Switzerland. They were living.
What do your parents do?
My mom is just a nurse, and my dad is. My dad, he moved out of Britain when he was 11 with his family because of my grandfather's. He was a chemical engineer and moved to Switzerland. And then my dad lived in Switzerland since he was 11.
Okay.
And he was living in the French-speaking part, so my dad speaks English, French, German, Danish, yeah. And then he went to a school where he learned like French, English, and German because
In Switzerland.
in Switzerland because it's French and German because those are both the languages you have to learn in
Yeah.
Switzerland, and then English because of nationality,
Yeah.
because of international. And then he went to Zurich to study, which is a
German.
university
Yeah.
in German. So he just studied in German in Zurich. And they met because my mom was an au pair in Zurich.
Really?
Yeah, so they met in Zurich because she was living with the family being the au pair, and my dad was studying there. So it's like my mom then became a nurse and my father an engineer. It's just, they just...
What type of engineer is he?
Mechanical. And then he got a job in Germany after Zurich.
Wow. Oh, it's so cool that your dad speaks so many languages. That's really nice. Do you speak German, Danish, English? Do you speak French?
No, but my girlfriend is French Canadian, so next year I put myself into the position. No, I'm sorry that you can't stay after. It's just today's.
Doesn't matter. You don't have to. I'm just asking for it.
Yeah. But what is your Slack name?
Rico99.
Okay, then I will Rico you a lot for Christmas. You can just write me on Slack and we'll figure this out, and we could even, get like a Skype going now.
Yeah, sure. But Alicia.
Yeah,
she
I can
can
say, yeah.
She can stay a little longer.
I just have the interview. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, I think both of you, just if you can write a list of the command that we are executing in the class, so just we know it after the class.
Yeah.
And don't forget it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because every time we came here, we see all the command and the codes we are writing, but
all the stuff we uploaded.
not all of it, like just the new stuff.
But
like this is the document.
But all of this we uploaded to GitHub.
Okay.
So you haven't heard about that yet?
No. So
I just sent you the link.
Where in GitHub?
Like I can send you the link.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll do that in the last 5 minutes because Benjamin told me that he has a repository.
I actually don't know about this.
Yeah, he just sent me today that there's like a Class08 branch on the JavaScript GitHub.
Yeah.
And we should add a folder with
Oh.
all the stuff we were using. You can go into the JavaScript master branch. I just did it for last week, and then you go into the here in Class08.
I think he did tell me, and I forgot.
Yeah. But if we show them that there's a Class08 branch, they will get completely confused. But if you go into week 2, that's I added classwork and all the files from last week.
Right. Yeah.
So in week 3, just add everything you did and send them the link.
Yeah, cool.
And maybe also tell them here that there's a different branch.
Yeah.
I hope that the homework in these 2 branches are at least the same.
Yep.
Probably.
Rasmus Jones.
Yeah. Why is it Rasmus Jones? My GitHub name is Rassi.
I don't know. Maybe you're not logged in or something.
Oh yeah, maybe it's just you put my name instead
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Gonna get some food now.
Yeah.